at a serious juncture, and it's kind of an afterthought.
Just real quick, I'll try to be as brief as I can. I think it's a difficult thing to address for boxing because there's a lot of people who bend forward a lot throughout fights.
Exactly.
And that was the issue that they keep saying when they watch the fight. Cologne keeps leaning forward.
Exactly.
You're a tall fighter. Why do you keep leaning forward? And guys are going to let their hands go. Actually, when Terrence Crawford knocked a guy out, his last knockdown, as dude was falling sideways, his last punch hit him behind the ear.
It happens every week.
So boxing would maybe either have to adjust with some sort of equipment to make it safe, which takes away from the damage,
right.
Or B, do you start fining fighters for leaning forward, and you say, you're not taking a boxing stance, so therefore I'm now going to give you a warning, then maybe take a point away. It's something that I do think boxing has to address, but given the nature of the sport, I think it's difficult to address because then you also now make the ref more involved. It's almost like the hold,
Agreed.
The head button, the use of shoulders. It's like, how much do you really get involved? And in MMA, you can usually make a direct link between injuries that are sustained and what happened to cause that injury. In boxing, it's a little different. You got guys that heavyweight that died, he wasn't getting hit behind the head, he still had brain swelling and died. Right. So it's harder, I think, to pinpoint the actual cause, and it's also harder to deal with eliminating that element that causes it. So I don't know. It's a definitely not a good thing for the sport.
No, I agree. Like I said, I'm just a little appalled that 2 weeks later, there hasn't really been any discussion. There really is just like this young man has been. I think Al Heyman did go and visit him and the family and whatnot in the hospital, but I just don't want to see one of my favorite sports go away. And like you said, this is a very hard thing occurrence for the sport to regulate or legislate. Because guys reach for shots all the time. And that's the thing. We don't see stuff like this in the Floyd Mayweather fights, right. The Pacquiao fights, right. The high-level fights. You don't see these types of things. But like I said, I really feel like Cologne's, his attitude in that fight and his frustration or something was just played a part into it. And the fouling that happened. And that's another thing. You can't have a HBO or a Showtime card and get into the 5th round and say I quit. That's just not a part of boxing. I mean, so it's just kind of hard. That's just hard for a boxer to
recover from.
Well, but it's hard for a boxer in the middle of the fight to really say I need to stop. Versus, I can work through this. I can fight through this. I've been trained to overcome adversity all the time. So, anyway, like I said, we're going to wrap this up. This is the Pay Me No Mind Show. This is your host, Wood. Any final thoughts? G, B, any final thoughts? NFL, college football?
NBA. Through the notes, we was talking about things that stuck out. DeMarcus Cousins. 32, 13, 3 assists, 4 for 5 from 3. 4 for 5 from 3. From 3.
I didn't know he added that
tonight's
game.
No, that was game 1.
Against Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Blake Griffin had 33 and 16, I think.
So that wasn't good.
But you wouldn't have expected that.
Blake Griffin had 33?
33 and 16, I believe.
Yeah. Pistons beat Chicago tonight.
Did they end up winning?
In overtime?
I was getting ready to check in on that.
Dre had 20 and 20.
Who did?
Andre Drummond. 20-20 game. And then Thunder double overtime with the Magic. Russ hit a jumper to send it in the first overtime. Victor Oladipo hits a 3 to send it in a double overtime. Thunder wins by 3 in double overtime. Who are the Magic? Who are the Magic? Those are my thoughts.
That's where the other foreigner went with Kristaps.
Lucacek.
Marco or something.
The power forward.
The 2 guard?
Yeah.
Mario Hezonja?
Yeah.
You know what I was talking about? Yeah.
He's Orlando, right?
Yeah.
Because for some reason earlier I was checking for him on Miami's roster. I'm thinking Florida, but it was Orlando.
Yeah.
that's good that G hung around and actually was over there being productive. We were talking about a whole bunch of names that he could give a damn about. But Cousins, because we kind of touched on the Kings and Rondo being at the point guard and all of that. Like I said, I just felt like it was good to get back in here and kind of do a little bit more, because we dropped the ball on several key matchups early on. But that's it. Let me get you out of here on this one, B. You throw something in too, G. Moving forward, man, Michigan has this tomorrow. They have Minnesota, who's lost their head coach. Then Indiana, who has some pieces. Then Penn State, who has a nice freshman running back. Can't remember his name off the top of my head. And then Hackenberg, who was touted as a first round, number 1 overall pick. And then the big game versus Ohio State. Can they finish up and go welcome Ohio State in with only 2 losses after the debacle of the punt?
I think absolutely.
They're on the road. They're on the road at Minnesota. They're on the road for all these games: Minnesota, Penn State, and Indiana.
I think the biggest game was the first game after the Michigan State game.
Which is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I'm saying. You want to look at how they come out in that very first game and see if there's any kind of letdown. I know a lot of people that the fans, and there was a lot of ignorant stuff. People were sending death threats to the kicker and all that, and so there's a lot of ways to look at that. But I think this first game is huge. It's really big, and I think that Harbaugh's experience and they're a talented team. I think that's the thing, is most people didn't know how well the system would work and how talented they are. So I think absolutely. I think they might actually look forward to that O State game, because that's a chance to take on another big fish, and show we're really, because we lost to the first one. Then we had our next chance and lost to that one because of that the silliness at the end of the game. So I look at Ohio State, and I think they're going to look at that one and they're going to say, we're going to be ready for that one.
Yeah, Well, I like you saying that they're talented. I don't know how different this roster is as it's been for the past couple of years. I think they're a hungry team. I think that Harbaugh and his staff, they feed into the whole college atmosphere. They feed into the go out and beat that guy. And to your point, they need to come out and smack them in the mouth.
Yeah.
First quarter, we should know how this game is going to go.
I don't know what the spread is, but 56-0 or 10 victory.
I don't know if that'll happen.
Yeah, 56 is a little high.
But with this team, to have a shutout is the equivalent of 56-0.
Right.
Yeah.
Whether they win 21-0 or 24-0, that's the equivalent of a 56-0, because their calling card is the physicality and the ability of the defense to shut you down.
To get back to that
so in a way, I think that's just as important. So I think it's very likely. And I tell you what, until Michigan State beat Michigan, this Buckeye State was talking.
Oh yeah,
that game is going to be big. Michigan is for real. So in a way, that loss may have given them a little bit of a
advantage.
Yes,
because
I think Ohio State was thinking.
Now they get back on their haunches.
Exactly.
You guys
and they came out last week and actually had an offensive explosion that they haven't had all season.
JT.
So that's my only concern, is that now
JT
Urban Meyer finally went and came on board with the rest of us that were waiting, and is now actually going with JT. And I just wonder now, what will be coming to Ann Arbor. But,
I talked to some people in Columbus, and they were telling me that they didn't think him and Braxton were healthy enough to take the load as starters. And that's why he continued to go with Cardale Jones.
It caught my eye that JT and Cardale have knee braces on at the beginning of the season, and I just was like, what's going on with these young men's knees that they have knee braces on? And I thought it was just precautionary and whatnot. But
it's hard to play in them braces.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. Like, do you want
It
to?
ain't comfortable.
Do you want to sacrifice that mobility and agility with that knee brace, or like it's some? Because Cardell had the knee brace on in the 3 games at the end of last season, so
Yeah,
I just kept looking at that like, why do these guys have these knee braces on?
Man, look, as somebody that's got knee problems and has a knee brace that he doesn't wear, it's better to be preventative if you think there's going to be an issue.
Right. And Cardell being as tall,
Yeah, it's
just
support
even to
because
drop
he
back.
does.
Yeah, you
Right.
drop back and you got guys coming in low and different.
Yeah.
So very much.
I got it. Like I said, it just caught my attention. Hey, thanks, fellas, man. This was a pretty good show. It is a little long. Hey, if you hit fast forward or whatever, click and drag to where you want to go to, we gave you a whole lot. I thought the conversation was pretty interesting. I'll get this up here tomorrow, and maybe on some Fridays we do a panel thing moving forward. We are going to try to shorten up the the time for. Actually, we would be shorter, but we
kind of put 2 shows together,
right?
So, we'll do it again sometime as long as the security threat doesn't shut us down.
Right. I got my stuff back now. It's all messed up now. I will say, I don't know what was going on with my brother, but the last time we got together to do a boxing show, combat sports.
Yeah, man, I was under the gun that night, and I wasn't myself.
Josie, what's his name? Josie, Aldo and Conor McGregor was the fight that my brother was emphatic about talking about. And me not being on top of MMA, I'm like, yeah, come on, because he was like, it's this weekend, and the fight still hasn't happened. That was 4 weeks ago.
It's to be determined still on that.
Right. So we're gonna get back in here and talk about Aldo, McGregor, and a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, actually, probably the biggest talk now is Bones Jones.
Right, coming back.
He's now cleared all his legal issues.
Right.
Pretty much, he's starting to tweet about missing the sport. So
legal issues are good to go, and his toes back together.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, look, we're not going to hold you good people up. Like I said, check us out or check me out on goingfor2.com with the article that this particular podcast will be embedded in. And that's about it, man. Like I say, each show except for the last one, my hockey show did very bad. But I like to do I like to do different things. I like to take risks. But anyway, like I said, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And we're out.
Proceed to roll my piece. Backwoods and the onion of green. Burn one, take a break in between. Exhale. My stress, my pain.